Hi guys, in this video we're going to continue our look at scatter plots and lines of best fit. But you're going to see me do a lot less writing and a lot more clicking because what I'm going to show you is based on our last example where we had this ice cream sales versus temperature data, and we saw that there was at least a pretty strong positive correlation between the two. We wanted to come up with an equation of a best fit line, and this was based on the fact that we chose these 2 points out of all the points because we felt like they were the closest. But one thing I want to throw out there is if we had chosen, say, this point with this point, that would have effectively changed the slope that we had found in the first place, which also would have changed the equation of the line we end up with. So is there a way to come up with a line that is better than all other lines and that a computer could find that a human could not possibly find? And the answer is yes. We can actually use a graphing calculator to create our scatter plots and even find the equation of the line of best fit. So in this video we're going to use a graphing utility to help us create a scatter plot first, and then to help us find the perfect line of best fit. So you'll notice a set of instructions here in our data table. I'm going to go ahead and turn my calculator on and walk through these steps with you. But the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put this data into our data table. So it says enter the data into the calculator lists. Place the data in list 1 and list 2. So in terms of instructions, what we do is we go to stat. So the first place we're going to go is this button right here that says stat next to your arrow keys. And once you pull this open, it says go to number 1, edit. So I'm going to hit enter on edit. And you're going to notice that I have several lists here, list 1, list 2, list 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our X data, or in this case, our temperature data on list 1, and then we're going to put our ice cream sales data into list 2 for our Y variable here. Now you're going to notice it takes a while to do this, and so I've already put in all my data values here, but if I scroll down you can see that I should have as many X values as I do Y values. It ends at 17.2 comma 408. So once you get all of your data in, we are going to make a scatter plot, and the way we do this is to set up for our scatter plot. So it says hit second stat plot. The thing here is this: when you work with regular graphs we have to go to Y equals. When you work with stat plots, look behind Y equals, it says stat plot. We have to hit second Y equals. And so you arrive at this screen right here, which you may have noticed doesn't look like this. But what we want to do is we want to just go ahead and click on number 1 here, enter. And what you'll get is this screen. Now what I need is for your settings to look like this. We're just setting this up. But you'll notice it says choices are shown at the right. Then choose zoom 9, zoom stat to graph the graph. The things we need to do, or at least you're going to need to do, is at first your calculator should have this stat plot turned off. You need to turn it on. We want to make sure that under type it looks like a bunch of dots and not these other graphical types. And then down at mark, we just want to make sure what kind of markings do we want it to use. Do we want it to use plus signs for the dots for the dots, or boxes? I would always suggest using boxes. So now that you have this, we're going to follow the directions here. We're going to go to zoom, and instead of going to zoom 6 like we often do with graphs, we're going to go to zoom 9. I can go ahead and hit zoom 9, but I want you to see what it says. Zoom 9 says zoom stat. So if we hit enter, the coolest thing happens. It's going to give us a scatter plot based on this graph. And so I'm going to go ahead and I want to show you here. This is the same scatter plot as what you're seeing on the right here. It's just that it's not as labeled, okay? But we want to acknowledge we have temperatures on the bottom, and then we have our sales values on the top here. So once we get this scatter plot in, what is it that I need to do next? Well, what we're going to have you do is number 3 here. It says have the calculator determine the line of best fit. And this actually gives you instructions that are way harder than it needs to be. It just says, first of all, go to stat. Stat was the first place we had gone to, but this time, instead of going to stat edit to put our list in, we're going to go over a column to calc. And what I want you to look for is what we call a linear regression. Linear regression is the process we use to find the very, very, very best line of best fit. So if you hit enter right now, enter, what you're going to get is this. It says your line of best fit is y equals ax plus b, where a is this and b is this. And so to pick this apart, this looks like y equals mx plus b. I think the thing we want to note here is this. Our a value in this case is our slope, this 30.09-ish, okay? And our b value here, as it normally is in slope-intercept form, is our y-intercepts. So now we have the value of our slope and our y-intercept for our line of best fit. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to write this equation. We would have y equals, and you'll notice here our slope's 30.08. I'm going to go with 30.1. Our line of best fit would be about 30.1x, and then we had a negative b value, negative 159.5, so minus 159.5. And so this would represent our sales number based on a given temperature input here. Now that we have this line of best fit, we could use this to make our predictions again. And last time we did this, we made predictions about what would our sales be if we had 21 degrees worth of temperature. And so let's take a look at this. If I plug in 21 for our temperature, how close will we get to our line of best fit that we found by hand? And so let's go ahead and find this here. We would have 30.1 times, in parentheses, 21 minus 159.5-ish. And what we get is about $472 worth of sales, whereas previously we got about, it looks like here, $477.72 worth of sales. So I just want to put these next to each other and show you that I would trust this number on my calculator more because it gave me the perfect line of best fit. But the one you found by hand wasn't bad. It was just using 2 points that were really, really close to the line, but not necessarily on the line. So again, we asked last time when we found this equation by hand, this one right here, to find what would the temperature be if the ice cream sales are 400. And so to pursue this same kind of take on it, if we go and we plug in, get this out of the way here, 400 for our sales, and we have 30.1x minus 159.5, we would have to add this to the left side, making this 559.5 equals 30.1x. And then we could divide that 559.5 by 30.1 to get our x value. So 559.5 divided by 30.1. And what we find out is the temperature would be about 18.6. Okay, so we would get x is about 18.6 degrees. And again, going back to look at what we got last time, we got about 18.7. So I want you to know that using your calculator, the neat thing about that is it's going to go ahead and give you a really nice scatter plot that you didn't have to create by hand, and it's going to give you the perfect line of best fit equation, just as long as you know how to put it in and find, using that linear regression, the line of best fit. Cheers.